Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a beautiful Monday night here in Eastlake, Ohio at the Cleveland Sports 360 show. It is August 19th, 2013, and tonight's special guest, a free agent, Lawrence Vickers, and I know a lot of you people know that name out there. We're going to be calling him in tonight, but right now, let's go to LG. LG, take it away.
Hey, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of the Cleveland Sports 360 show. As Mr. Leaf just explained to you tonight, former Cleveland Browns great fullback Lawrence Vickers will be joining us all the way from Beaumont, Texas. Vickers is a free agent, and there's no excuse for the Cleveland Browns not to sign Lawrence Vickers to come in as the lead blocker for Trent Richardson. Just think, folks, how good would it be if Vickers came back to the Cleveland Browns? We know he was here for 6 seasons, and during those 6 seasons, he was the man solely responsible for getting Peyton Hillis put on the cover of Maden. Let's face it, folks, in 2010, Lawrence Vickers was the lead blocker for Peyton Hillis. That's the best year in Hillis's entire NFL career with 1,177 yards of rushing. This guy didn't do very well in the NFL before Vickers, and after Vickers left, he didn't do very well. He had 309 yards rushing in the 2012 for the Kansas City Chiefs. In 2011, he has 587 yards for the Cleveland Browns. We need Lawrence Vickers back on the Cleveland Browns, folks, and we need him here quick. We need him here real quick, especially with the offensive line the Cleveland Browns have. Lawrence Vickers can bust open holes on the football field to get Trent Richardson up the field, and half the time he wouldn't even be touched going through the line of scrimmage because Vickers would be the lead blocker. So everybody sitting around, get on the phone, get down there, call up Michael Lombardi, tell him that we need Lawrence Vickers back if we're going to have a dependable rushing game, and especially with the leg issues that Trent Richardson suffers through each and every season in his NFL career. Without further ado, I want to bring back to the Cleveland Sports 360 show my friend, a man I'm calling my friend, and I'm proud to call my friend, Lawrence Vickers. Lawrence, are you with us, buddy?
Hey, what's going on, man?
Hey, how you doing, Lawrence Vickers? I'm so proud to have you back on the Cleveland Sports 360 show, and especially this time you're a free agent. And I got to tell you, you can't believe the reception that you're getting on Facebook and other social media sites of people just hoping and praying that Lawrence Vickers can somehow find his way back to the Cleveland Browns roster.
Man, that must be all of us, man. I'm doing the same thing.
Well, that's fantastic. You know, a lot of people don't realize this, and I was just explaining before we got you on the phone, Lawrence. 2010 was Peyton Hillis' best year in the NFL, and it was no wonder with Lawrence Vickers, the blue-collar football player that you are out there lead blocking. That's his best year. He had 1,177 yards. You take Lawrence Vickers off of the Cleveland Browns roster, the very next year the guy has 587 yards. Before he came to the Cleveland Browns, he didn't do much in the NFL. He had 343 yards in 2008. He had 54 yards in 2009. And, last year for the Kansas City Chiefs, he had 309 yards rushing. Don't you think that Lawrence Vickers had something to do with Peyton Hillis being as great as he was in 2011? What's your opinion, Lawrence?
Man, I have to say, with dealing with Peyton, I think I played a nice part in able to, provide great for him. But that O-line was our scheme was just actually the head coach now, Trent Richardson, was our offensive coordinator around that time. He was that time when Peyton was there. Before that, he was our offensive coordinator. Same thing with Jamal. Same thing with Ruben had 1,000. One of the years when I started having him. Jerome Harrison almost had 1,005 games. I think I'm not naming people. I'm just saying, I know that I like go out there and do the dirty work. That's just something I love. Started in Cleveland doing it, missed doing it. Had a little back this year, to get some things touched up to get myself a little bit better. But now I'm rock ready, man. It's just one of those things where you have like a deja vu moment, think back in the place where you were. So it's like it's coming back around in circle. I think it happened to a couple guys before, and I'm just waiting for my time to come back around.
Well, Lawrence, you're breaking up a little bit. Is there any way you can move to the spot in your house that me and you were talking on earlier? Because it was phenomenal. I could hear you. I could hear you very nice, man, earlier.
Okay, can you hear me now?
That is beautiful. That is perfect, Lawrence.
Okay.
Lawrence, I just got to tell you, even Denny Dice, he's the founder of the BW3 Nation, which stands for Brandon Weeden Nation. Him and I disagree on a lot of different things when it comes to Cleveland Browns football. And one of the biggest disagreements I have, of course, is 5-11 seasons, back-to-back 4-12. I'm tired of losing football games, and I'm sure a lot of other Browns players and the fans are tired of losing football games. But Denny Dice, the founder of the BW3 Nation, which stands for Brandon Weeden Nation, he agrees 100% with me, and he told me to tell you hello, and he definitely wants to see Lawrence Vickers back in the Cleveland Browns uniform, man. Is there any hope of seeing Vickers back in a Cleveland Browns uniform for the 2013 season?
There's definitely hope. I mean, it's out there. I'm here. I'm rehabbing. I'm doing good. I'm ready to play football, and I'm just sitting back waiting, man. That's one of the things I'm doing. You look at yourself as a hard-working guy, and you like, whenever the situation comes, I want to be ready to be on that field and do the things I need to do the things I love to do. So I'm just sitting back, waiting, man, chilling with my kids. But I got a feeling it's going to happen.
Man,
I do. Somewhere within these next couple of weeks or so, I hope they still got 47 on deck, man, because AK-47 thinking about being back in that brown and orange, man.
Well, I got to tell you, today, the Cleveland Browns terminated the contract of Brock Bolin. He was a fullback. The Browns just came out and they terminated this fullback's contract. And, I just want to touch on something a lot of fans don't know. What a tough couple of years Lawrence Vickers had. Obviously, you got onto the Dallas Cowboys roster, and that had to be a highlight of the Lawrence Vickers career. But you lost your dad last season, too. Isn't that right, Lawrence?
Yeah, man.
And I know you missed the guy real, it's just hard to imagine people that aren't familiar with losing a parent, and especially your dad. Is there anything you want to tell your dad or say while you're on the air here, what your dad meant to you, Lawrence?
Man, my dad meant the world to me. That's the reason I'm the man I am. That's the reason I'm a hard worker. That's the reason I feel like I'm the protect the bully type of person, real family oriented. That's all that all comes from him, man, and my upbringing. So every day, I'm living through him in a sense,
Absolutely.
That's the person I admire the most.
And we got that picture. We got that picture on the screen right now with your dad on the Dallas 50-yard line in the star. Remember that one, Lawrence?
Yeah, man. Beautiful, man. That was beautiful.
Yeah.
I want to shout out to the fan that made that. It was a fan that made it.
I made it.
That was you.
Yeah, I made it.
I seen somebody else with a shirt in Dallas like that, though. That's why I was like, wow.
I wonder if they took it from that.
Somebody actually had shirts like that, man.
Yeah, because when you had a great game, I think and correct me, it might have either been Monday Night Football or Thursday Night Football, but you had a phenomenal game. You came out of the backfield. You saved Tony Romo a couple of times. He used you for an outlet receiver, and I did a big story on Lawrence Vickers, and I made you that picture. So that's I made that picture. But that thing went nationwide, man. It went all over Yard Barker and Fox Sports and everything.
That's what I'm telling you. People had shirts in Dallas with that on them, man. It was sweet, man.
Yeah,
I signed a couple of them myself.
Hey, speaking of signing, where's my Lawrence Vickers jersey? I'm still waiting, man. Did the mailman
you know
lose
what,
it?
man? I just ended up moving all my stuff out of Dallas. And I got two jerseys, man. I'm sending you one, man.
I love it, man. I love to have a Lawrence Vickers jersey. But let's get back to the Cleveland.
I hand it to you.
That'd be great, man. I would love to see that moment in time. But let's get back to the Cleveland Browns for a minute. I know you were busy last year playing for the Dallas Cowboys, and you were doing a lot of blocking and catching out of the backfield. What do you think of Brandon Weeden? Have you had much time to study this guy at all?
Yeah. I think he's good. I think he's what Cleveland needed.
So you think?
I think he is. He's a good quarterback. I've been watching him. Now, Cleveland is always home, so I watch Cleveland football all the time. All my homeboys are still there. So I'm always watching and checking them out. And he played good. I played against him. Remember, I had to catch against Cleveland for us to beat him.
Right.
On a 4th and 1.
That's right, man. You made a big play there.
I sat back and I watched him.
Right.
And he's awesome, man. He's good. I think he's a very consistent quarterback. And, in the sense of football years, he's young and he's getting time to build with his receivers. I think that's the best thing. He's getting time to build with the receivers. They haven't had a quarterback that had a chance to build with the receivers there in Cleveland for a little while.
Yeah, that's the problem. We're always starting over, and obviously you worked under the Rob Chubzinski offense before while you were with the Cleveland Browns, and now we have Rob Chubzinski. Yeah, that was a great year, and then we lost. We didn't even make the playoffs that year, did we, Lawrence?
No, you remember we were watching the Colts game.
Right.
Tennessee, I remember this now. Tennessee and the Colts were playing.
Unbelievable.
I remember that.
Yeah.
And I forgot the quarterback name, but we needed Tennessee to win. No, we needed the Colts to win, but the Colts had said all their starters from Tennessee won. Something like that.
One thing I noticed, too, after you left Cleveland, you ended up with the Houston Texans, and Arian Foster had a 4.4 yards per carry. Now, I know that Lawrence Vickers was busting people out of the way for Foster. I seen you get him in the end zone on a couple occasions myself. But last year, I know he rushed for more yards overall. He had a lot more carries, but his average dropped to 4.1 yards per carry. Did you realize that, Lawrence?
Me and Foster talked, and, man, let me tell you, I actually got a chance to build a relationship with Foster, man, and he's a student of the game. And I'm a student of the game. I study everything, O-lineman, tight end, everybody. That's what enables me to be able to, block while I'm running at the same time, necessarily.
Yeah, that's funny.
And this was something that we dug together. It was like, I would say, it's like poetry in motion when two people can know what they're going to say at the same time, just from the vibe that you're getting from each other.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
And he totally understood that. I understood the things that he liked to do. And we had like a rhythm thing, on our third or fourth step, we was making moves. And we were in sync. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, good time.
Being in sync, two people being in sync at one time, man, makes a big difference. And it actually ventured out to the rest of the backs because Foster had a great year. Ben Tate had 1,000 yards that year. Foster had 1,000 yards, and I think Derek Ward had like 400, something like that. We had 600 more rushing yards than what they had from the previous year when Foster was the leading rusher.
Right.
Now, I'm not saying it's because of me. That ain't what I'm saying.
Well, it certainly didn't. It certainly didn't help.
Because of us Biden. I played a part in it.
Right. It did not hurt having Lawrence Vickers out there blocking people. I can guarantee you that, Mr. Vickers. It did not hurt the Houston Texans having Lawrence Vickers on the field. I can guarantee you that. Just like the Dallas Cowboys, it did not hurt the Cowboys. I seen you blocking guys backwards in the New York Giants game last year, man. Your back was turned to them guys, and you still took two guys out of the play, and you got your running back across the line of scrimmage, man.
That's giving it up, man. Right. That's what you play the game for, man.
Absolutely, man. So, I know you don't want to toot your own horn too much. That's why we're here. We're tooting it for you, man, and we're gonna get a campaign. We're gonna get people calling Michael Lombardi. I wrote a big article this morning. I said Michael Lombardi's making a big mistake signing this old.
Man, you need to go down to Berea, man, and put that on the front step.
I'll do it.
Matter of fact, put 47 copies out there.
I'll do it, man. Number 47. But let me tell you something, Lawrence. The entire city of Cleveland is behind bringing Lawrence Vickers back to the Cleveland Browns. How many good years of football do you think Lawrence Vickers still has in his system?
Me, I said I got about 5 more years. 5
more years, man. And I mean, you know, you're not a guy that's going to break the bank for the Cleveland Browns. You just want an honest paycheck for an honest job done.
Let me tell you something. With me, where I'm at, I love playing the game. Make sense what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Not saying, oh, yeah, let me go out here and put me on the team for free. I'm a team player, man. I've always been a team player. That's why I play fullback, man. It's a total team.
And I tell you right now, man.
Position on the field, man.
Obviously, you've seen Trent Richardson up close and personal last year when the Dallas Cowboys played the Cleveland Browns, and you're probably familiar that Trent Richardson has lower leg problems, man. Now, this guy's a beast, but he's taken too many hits before he gets through the line of scrimmage. Now, with a Lawrence Vickers out there, do you think having a Lawrence Vickers on the Cleveland Browns would help the longevity of a Trent Richardson's career, man?
Let me tell you something. Ain't nobody hitting on my running backs like that, man. Point blank period. If I'm in front of you, I'm going down before you go down, baby. Right.
That's what we need, man. And you know, Lawrence, honest to God, the Cleveland Browns offensive line had done a great job protecting Brandon Weeden last season. And they're doing a phenomenal, you know, he was one of the best protected quarterbacks in the NFL. And the first game or two, it was a little wobbly. But, you know, Weeden, he's not really a mobile quarterback. But when I think Shermer took these guys aside last year and he says, you got to protect this quarterback. Let me just put this out there real quick. If you're just tuning into the Cleveland Sports 360 show, our guest tonight live from Beaumont, Texas, Lawrence Vickers, former Cleveland Browns fullback, former Dallas Cowboys fullback, and former Houston, Texas fullback. There you go. That way people know who I'm talking to. But they're not run blocking real good on the offensive line. Lawrence, what's the trick between pass blocking and run blocking, man? I mean, and then we got Pinkston got hurt again the other night when we were playing against the Detroit Lions.
The thing, you see, one of the things I always do when I get there, I go vibe with the O-line. You know, because the O-line are always going to be your hogs. They're going to be your dogs. You know, they're going to be the people that you need to get everything started. So whenever you're doing something and you're dealing with something, you got to start at the head. And the O-line is the head because they start everything. So this is what you do with that in the sense when we was in Cleveland. We always sat down, had understandings, and always knew how we needed to get things done in the sense of telling coaches, let us run early, you know, so we can get aggressive and be able to better pass protect, you know. If you protect, as a O-lineman, if you pass protecting a lot, you're getting used to sitting back on your heels and you're not going to be as aggressive. You're not necessarily starting the flow of the game. You want to start the flow of the game for your opponent and let them know, hey, I'm about to dog you the whole game. And then you can relax when you sit back and pass protect. But if you're starting out pass protecting all day, I mean, it's going to be hard for you to try to establish a run.
Right. And I remember you, man. You were setting the tone before the game even started if these guys came out on the field and started talking any crap.
Yeah, you got to have – the team is made up of different type of people, man. You can't have all the same type of guys on things. That's just like dealing with business. You're going to have all different type of guys.
Right.
Everybody plays a specific role, you know? And you got to have that guy that people look up to in the sense they know he's going to go hard. He's a total inspiration of the team, put things together, you know, for the guys. And he's that emotional person on the team that brings things together. Football is made in motion.
Right.
Passion, you know.
And nobody brings more passion.
Out there hitting people like that. You got to have some type of spark to you about that.
And nobody brings more passion to the game than Lawrence Vickers, as far as I'm concerned. Or we haven't seen it yet here in Cleveland. I could tell you like that, man. But I got to tell you, man, you're such a big hit around the Cleveland area. I got a buddy of mine does the Sports Fix show. J-Rock Jerry Myers does the Sports Fix show every day of the week from 12 to 1 o'clock. Is it all right if I pass your number on to him? He'd love to have you for a guest on the Sports Fix sometime this week.
Man, go ahead, man. I love the Dog Foundation, man. I always love Cleveland, man.
Yeah, and we got to get you back here, man. We're gonna run a full scale attack.
Bring signs to the game.
We're gonna do it.
Everybody that's listening, bring signs to the game.
Bring back LV.
We want AK-47 back, man.
Right. And you know what? I'm going to call down there tomorrow and see if I can get Chudzinski on the phone. I'm not kidding you, man.
Tell I say hello too, man.
I'll do it when I get a hold of him. I'm going to say, what's the matter with you guys? You got a great fullback. And you know what it is? It's the veteran presence, too, because this is a young football team, man. You got what, 7, 8 years in the NFL now, right?
Yeah. Let me tell you something. When the young guy comes in and he sees that older vet still love football like he love it like a kid, they have a better sense of adjusting to things because it's like, okay, he's just like me. You get to the NFL, you think everybody's different. These are grown men. Everybody do their own thing, but you still have that team atmosphere, as if we was in college and everybody vibed together. You still can have that,
Absolutely.
And when a young guy sees that, it makes him more, I want to say it makes it easier for him to adjust and to becoming a pro. He can go out there carefree like he's one of the guys and go out there and play on that excellent level that he just left from. You need somebody to instill that in him that, hey, man, you was a great college player. You're going to be a great NFL player. This ain't just happened overnight. Greatness comes over time, and once you hit great, you stay great, man. You got to put that in his head.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
You have to put that in his head in order for him to believe it. And when it comes from an older guy that's been there for a little while, he's like, okay, well, yeah, I see now. That's just how the older guys brought me up, man. People I was around Big Ted, Willie McGinnis, Jamal, all these guys I was around. Hey, man, those old guys tell you. And them the ones that you want to talk to. It's a reason they're there 12, 10, 13 years,
Right. And you were instrumental in talking to Montario Hardesty when he was a member and you were a member.
Yeah. That's still my, me and Montario relationship is still the same. That's my dude. That's like my little brother. We still see each other in the off season, still kick it, check on each other. I'm always watching him. All the time, man. That's why I watch season football all the time. He's still there. Like I said, a lot of my family's still there, man. All the people still on the team, I know them. Even the young guys, when I left, my presence is still there with them. They know me from when they come to play me. Everybody telling me about me.
Right. And we're going to keep telling them about you until we get our way and get Lawrence Vickers back in the orange and brown of the Cleveland Browns uniform. Hey, this show is brought in part to you by forever.com. These guys are dogs forever dogs, and nobody fits better, even though he was in Dallas last year and Houston the year before that, than Lawrence Vickers fits in the dog pound. Is that right, Lawrence?
Absolutely.
I mean, you talk
dog pound one time.
You talk about bleeding orange and brown. Lawrence Vickers did that for 6 long years in Cleveland. And they weren't all 10-6 seasons, were they, Lawrence?
No, we had some hard ones. But guess what? I was the same guy. I was the same guy every week, coming in there giving it to him.
Right. And we need a guy like you that can come in here and give it to him, man, because I got to tell you, I'm a little bit concerned. My concern is we got a number 1 draft pick with some lower extremity problems, man. He's got pins holding all his ligaments on his ankles. He's had his knee scoped 3 times from high school through college, and then he had to miss preseason last year. And you just said it. Lawrence Vickers will be Trent Richardson's personal bodyguard out there on an NFL field, right?
Absolutely right.
And I don't know why people don't grasp this, man. I mean, there was a lot of talk about bringing back Lombardi, and sometimes Lombardi misses guys on the field. Do you have an agent, Lawrence?
Yes, sir.
Did he contact the Cleveland Browns?
We're waiting on the Cleveland Browns to contact us back.
Okay. Okay, maybe this show and maybe all the press you're going to get is going to help him out a little bit and push him in a little bit.
Hey, man, with everybody, sometimes we need a little push, man.
Right. Absolutely. They could be
sometimes we need a little push.
Just on the top of the hill waiting for that little push to get them over the edge.
Hey, man, coaches push players. Players push coaches, man. That's how we all become great.
Right.
Fans push players. Fans push coaches.
Now, let's talk about a little bit about your back surgery. Some people brought this up, and I said, no, Lawrence Vickers is ready to play football. Tell us a little bit. What happened to your back, man?
Man, I just had I had a little disc surgery. It's probably it's one of the things you deal with when you're hitting, a little bit. And I had a little sciatic nerve, so it was bothering me a little bit. I needed to get it fixed.
Right.
That's with anything. If your knee hurting, you get it fixed. If your elbow hurts, you get it fixed. You get it fixed and you patch up and you go play, man.
So you're 100% right now, ready to go, right?
Man, 110. I ain't never been 100.
I like that, man. I know you always gave 110%. This is a blue-collar football player on the phone with us, ladies and gentlemen. Lawrence Vickers, all the way from Beaumont, Texas. We need to launch a campaign to get Lawrence Vickers, number 47, back into a Cleveland Browns uniform. So, Lawrence, man, we got 2 weeks left. We're taking on the Colts next week in the preseason game, and then we got one game after that. You're just ready to go. You don't even need no time in no preseason football. You've been doing this so long. You get right in there.
Hey, man, preseason, let me tell you something. Preseason is where you fine-tune it. I'm going to tell you, I've been here a long time, but I believe in fine-tuning. You have to fine-tune it, and that's what preseason's for. And then when you hit the regular season, you just always get better each week. That's how you become great. I ain't got to be great today. I'm going to be good today, and I'm going to get better tomorrow. I'm going to get better each time. That's why I know I have something to shoot for, which is excellent. And so with me, it's all about just once I get there, just go to work, man. You don't make no excuses. Just go get the job done, man. Just like that.
Now, a lot of people may not realize, but Lawrence Vickers did the Clevealnd Sports 360 show right after he signed a contract with the Dallas Cowboys. And people don't realize that the old regime that the Cleveland Browns had let Lawrence Vickers walk right out the door of Berea, Ohio, without even giving Lawrence Vickers an opportunity to sign a new contract. Right, Lawrence?
Yeah, that was the old regime, man.
Right.
We got some new folks in there now, man.
Yeah, we got new ownership.
The same mistakes the old folks did.
Absolutely, man. But we got a new owner, we got a new coach, we got a new offensive, we got a new defensive coordinator. I mean, it's a whole revamped Cleveland Browns team. But I'm just saying, it wasn't Lawrence Vickers' choice to leave the Cleveland Browns. That was the point I'm trying to make.
I thought about my whole career. That was my goal. They let me leave, man. I asked to stay.
Yeah, you wanted to finish your career in a Cleveland Browns uniform, right?
Just like that, man. I wanted to do it like Kevin Mack did, man. Kevin Mack was one of my good friends there.
Well, he's still down there, man. Get on the phone and call him up and tell him, let's go.
Hey, man, tell Mack make it happen, man. Tell Mack, look. Tell Mack make it happen, man. Mack know what it is.
Right. I'll get a hold of him, too. But I got to tell you, man, so the back's perfect. We're ready to get Lawrence Vickers back on a football field, and you'd really like to be here for at least one preseason game, right?
Yeah, of course. I want to get a chance to fine-tune my game. But if not, hey, if I got to come in and get it done off the muscle, hey, that's just how it go, man. If everything ain't going to always be exactly how you want, you got to know how to adjust. That's football.
Absolutely, man. Well, I really want to pray hard for you, Lawrence. We're gonna talk to a bunch of people this week, and we're gonna get a campaign started to get Lawrence Vickers back into a Cleveland Browns uniform. Hey, tell me, man, a little bit last year playing with the Dallas Cowboys, and Tony Romo just got this 120 or whatever he got, this big contract extension. Do you think that played any part in the Dallas Cowboys releasing Lawrence Vickers?
No.
None at all.
I think that this, if anything, that would make more sense for me to stay.
Right. To protect that quarterback.
When I was in there, Tony ain't get touched. I made sure that.
Right.
That's something I pride myself in, my quarterback not to be touched. And I ended up even playing tailback to protect Tony because we had a lot of backs go down. So I was there making third down catches, protecting Tony, doing everything. I didn't just limit myself to just one thing. I did everything: run block, pass block, catch pass, special teams. What you need, coach? I'm your guy. Whatever you need done.
And I seen you.
Put Vic right there. We got it.
And I seen you were like an emotional team leader for the Cowboys too. We got a picture here with you. The whole team's gathered around Lawrence Vickers. It looks like you're giving the Dallas Cowboys a pep talk before the game, man.
Oh yeah, that's just something that I just do, man. Like, I feel that, man. I love playing football, man. I feel it, and everybody around, we gotta let I bring that team unity together, man. That's something that I'm blessed to do whenever I go to, is unify everybody. And that's the only way man. Those guys go to watch, they're unified. That's the only way you can do the mission at hand. Ain't nothing like doing something with 50 other guys you all on the same court, man. Everybody's doing it perfect so we all can succeed in the goal. You know what I'm saying?
I hear you, brother, man. I'm really gonna put this campaign together. I mean, LG, I'm a man of my word. I'm not gonna stop.
I know you are.
Until they tell me to shut the hell up. You understand that, Lawrence?
I got you, man.
Well, listen, I'm going to let you go. I'm not going to keep you for the whole hour tonight. I want to thank you so much for taking time out and talking and coming on the Cleveland Sports 360 show. Lawrence Vickers, I'm going to pray for you real hard. We got the Sports Outreach Ministries show that comes on here Thursday nights. I'm going to have the Bishop, Abu Hezekiah Mujahideen, pray for Lawrence Vickers. I'm going to do everything in my power to get these.
Sure we pray it into existence.
Absolutely, man.
So instead of saying goodbye, say I'll see you later.
I'll definitely see you later, man. So definitely,
see you later.
Thanks a lot for taking time out and joining us, and I'll see you later, Lawrence, okay?
See you later, man.
I'll have J-Rock from the Sports Fix give you a call later this week, man.
All right, brother. You have a blessed one.
You too. God bless you.
Pound.
There it is. Shout out to the Dog Pound from Lawrence Vickers right here live on the Cleveland Sports 360 show. I know there's a lot of people psyched up tonight and they're thinking, and like I said earlier, this show is brought to you in part by the foreverforever.com. You can't get better Browns gear in too many places than what Paul has on the foreverforever.com. His favorite saying is dogs forever, forever dogs. We're going to open up the phone lines here on the Cleveland Sports 360 show after this commercial message. Give us a call. Area code 216-672-4300. Again, that's 216-672-4300 if you want to call in and talk a little bit about what you just heard from Lawrence Vickers, possibly returning to the Cleveland Browns. We'll be right back after these messages.
See
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Cleveland Sports 360 show with your host LG, and we just had a great interview with Lawrence Vickers, and we're out there to campaign to get him back here with the Browns because, man, this guy can do it for us, folks. With no further ado, LG, take it away.
Hey, welcome back to the Cleveland Sports 360 show. If you're just tuning in, you're going to have to catch the replay. I only kept Lawrence on the phone for half an hour this time. We could have stayed on for the entire hour. The phone lines are open here at the Cleveland Sports 360 show. Again, the number to call is 216-672-4300. We're talking Cleveland Browns football, and we're talking the need for the Cleveland Browns to bring back free agent Lawrence Vickers. This guy told you on the show for the first 30 minutes how he would be Trent Richardson's personal bodyguard, and not many people would get a shot at Trent Richardson's legs. The Cleveland Browns definitely need a Lawrence Vickers back on this team to get out there and help run block for Trent Richardson. We know Richardson suffered lower limb problems. He's a young guy, man. He came out of college. You know, Nick Saban does this year after year after year in Alabama. He uses his running backs, these guys. They come into the NFL, and they're a little bit abused. Richardson has pins and screws tying his ligaments back on his ankles. He had his knee scoped 3 times already. He missed some of the training camp this year. He missed a preseason football game. We saw him last week for a limited time until Sue paid him a little visit with a big hit going out of bounds. And frankly, I'm surprised that this Sue from the Detroit Lions had the speed to close in and catch a Trent Richardson. But that Sue is one fast son of a bitch. Boy, I got to tell you, this guy, you got to watch him. He got a roughing the passer call, a personal foul on Brandon Weeden. That was questionable, but he did hit him. He knocked him to the ground after he released the ball. There's a one-step rule. I'm not sure. I didn't see his feet, how many steps he took. Again, you want to talk Cleveland Browns football? We got a big game coming up this Saturday against the Indianapolis Colts. And I got to tell you, folks, I really thought the Cleveland Browns would go 3-0 with no problem with the way the Colts performed last week in their first preseason football game. But when I saw what they did to the New York Giants last night, 6 sacks, man. This is a hungry Indianapolis Colts football team. The defense really picked it up a notch last night against the New York Giants, and Brandon Weeden is going to have to be especially careful coming into this Colts game this coming Saturday. We know Weeden has a quick release of the football, and we know that he's still learning how to play in the NFL. Let's face it, folks, this is his second year, and it's his second offense, and this is what looks to be a real Cleveland Browns professional offense. We didn't see that with Pat Shurmur. Frankly, I'm surprised Chip Kelly was stupid enough to take Pat Shurmur to Philadelphia with him. How he could take a guy like Pat Shurmur and make him an offensive coordinator for the Philadelphia Eagles is anybody's guess. But thank God Shurmur is no longer the coach of the Cleveland Browns. We got Norv Turner as the offensive coordinator. I'm taking a little bit of flack from some guys on Facebook. They think I don't like Chudzinski and I don't like Norv Turner. I don't know where they get that idea. I've never said I didn't like Chudzinski and I didn't like Norv Turner. Anybody that knows the history of the Cleveland Browns, as you heard Lawrence Vickers say it earlier, we had a 10-6 record when Chudzinski was the offensive coordinator. The guy scripting plays that seemed to fit Brandon Weeden's abilities. He's still not naming Weeden the starter, but as far as everybody's concerned out there, he could definitely be the starting quarterback for the Cleveland Browns coming up on September 8th when the Browns take on the Miami Dolphins. Now, barring injury, that is, okay? There's some good things that Campbell does too, so when you listen to Chudzinski tell the story, he says it's a closer competition than what people think. He could be just inspiring Weeden, or he could be seriously considering maybe starting Jason Campbell. Although Campbell hasn't had many snaps with the first team, as you heard Lawrence Vickers say earlier in the show, Preseason's for fine-tuning things, and then you go into the season. Maybe a guy with the veteran experience of a Campbell doesn't need as much fine-tuning. You heard Joe Banner say time and time again, Whedon is going to get every available opportunity that the Cleveland Browns could give him to be the Cleveland Browns starting quarterback. I think this coming up weekend, Saturday, when the Cleveland Browns face off against the Indianapolis Colts and Andrew Luck, it's going to be a real test. I think it's going to be the toughest test this preseason that the Browns have faced. I know the Detroit Lions, they struggled last year with a 4-12 record. They came into this game and they looked terrible. If you listen to my man Bernie Kosar, and I got to tell you, Bernie Kosar probably boosted Channel 3's ratings 1,000,000%. How many people tuned in last Thursday night just to hear what Bernie was going to say next is mind-boggling. I couldn't even give you the numbers. Nielsen probably is still trying to figure out how many people tuned into Channel 3 to hear what Bernie was going to say. But the Rams were not a very good football team when the Browns played them. Now, I know people out there go, well, this is preseason, it don't mean shit. Well, it does mean something, folks. People are out there bidding for a job. They're fighting to trying to get a career in the NFL. As we saw today, the Browns terminated the contract of fullback Brock Bolin, and I'm hoping and praying they terminated this contract because they know free agent Lawrence Vickers is out there and he's willing to come back and give it 110% to play for the Cleveland Browns. He wanted to retire in a Browns uniform. Holmgren made a vital mistake letting Vickers walk out the door 2 years ago. They didn't even offer Lawrence Vickers a contract to come back. You saw what happened to Peyton Hillis 1 year without Lawrence Vickers. He rushed for 587 yards when he had 1,177 yards, and he was the Maden cover boy in the year Vickers was the lead blocker in 2010 for Peyton Hillis. Arian Foster's per yard per carry average dropped by 0.3 yards a carry. You may not think 0.3 yards a carry sounds like a lot, but when you carry the football 352 times 0.3, that adds up to substantial yardage that Arian Foster didn't get without Lawrence Vickers out there as his lead blocker. Now, ladies and gentlemen, everybody band together and let's pray for success. Let's pray that the Cleveland Browns have a successful season, and let's pray that the Cleveland Browns right the wrong that took place after the 2010 season when Holmgren let Lawrence Vickers walk out the door in Berea not to return. Let's get this new regime to think about bringing back number 47. Get number 47 back in the brown and orange, and let's get Lawrence Vickers back on the football field in Cleveland to protect Trent Richardson and extend his NFL career. Because if Richardson can't bust through the line of scrimmage and he's taking additional hits on the football field, it cannot be good for his lower extremities. Anybody that knows anything about orthopedics knows that when you got pins and screws holding all your ligaments together, and one bad hit, I mean, we saw it. We saw Colt McCoy fall on Richardson's ankle, and then Richardson had to miss the final game of the 2012 season against the Pittsburgh Steelers with a bad ankle. We don't need this happening to the guy that was our former number one pick in 2012. We need him to be protected. We need him to bust through the line of scrimmage. You heard Lawrence Vickers. He knows how to get the job done. He knows how to inspire offensive linemen. He knows how to start the tempo of a game, run, and then pick them apart with the passes. Get Lawrence Vickers back in a Cleveland Browns uniform. Don't forget, ladies and gentlemen, this show is brought to you in part by forever.com. If you haven't visited forever.com, it's simple. You punch in the number 4, the word ever. You do that twice, so it's forever.com. You visit their website and you get yourself some great Browns gear. We're going to take another break here on the Cleveland Sports 360 show. When we come back, we're going to wrap this up, and I hope we get a campaign going to bring Lawrence Vickers back to the Cleveland Browns. We'll be right back right after these messages.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to a beautiful, beautiful Monday night here in Eastlake, Ohio. And this is the Cleveland Sports 360 show with your great host, LG. LG, take it away.
Hey, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Cleveland Sports 360 show. If you're just tuning in now, you're going to have to catch the first 30 minutes on replay. We had the great free agent Lawrence Vickers as our special guest tonight. Lawrence Vickers would love nothing more but to return to the Cleveland Browns for the 2013 season. He says he's got 5 years left in him to play great football and put out 110%. He said he would come in to the Cleveland Browns organization and help these offensive linemen do a great job in making sure nobody touches Trent Richardson. He said he would protect Brandon Weeden, the quarterback. He said he can inspire this team to play great football, and the Cleveland Browns could do no wrong but bringing in a veteran presence like Lawrence Vickers. If there's anybody out there you want to give a call in, talk to me about some Cleveland Browns, about your thoughts of Lawrence Vickers, the number to dial is 216-672-4300. Pick up the phone, give us a call. We got about 11 minutes left before we end this show.
And I'll tell you what, LG, I got to jump in there for your show. I'll tell you what, Lawrence Vickers, what a gentleman he was. I was talking to him privately before we put him on the show. Fantastic guy. I want to see him back there, just like LG, just like Lawrence Vickers wants to be back there.
Well,
fantastic guy.
It's like he said, Leaf. His father taught him the right way. His father was a nice Southern gentleman. They raised Lawrence around the Texas area. He's back home in Beaumont, Texas right now. That's the same hometown as former Browns running back Herman Fontenot, who I've had on my show. Herman is a great gentleman as well. You can't say enough good about these guys, man. Lawrence Vickers believes in God. He believes in the higher power. He believes in prayer. And we're asking you Browns fans to pray that we're going to see Lawrence Vickers, number 47, be back in a Browns uniform sooner rather than later. Let's get on the phone, pick up the phones tomorrow, call the Cleveland Browns organization, say what is wrong with you people, throw the dice, take a chance. It's going to pay off with huge dividends to bring Vickers back and put him in a Browns uniform. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to get on the phone tomorrow. I might get on the phone tonight and leave Chudzinski a message. I've done it before. I'll do it again. We got to bring him back. We got to get Vickers in there to protect Trent Richardson. I know this guy can bust some holes open and make holes happen. He's a veteran. He knows how to play the game of football. He loves to play the game of football. It's not all about the money with a guy like Lawrence Vickers. And the Cleveland Browns could use this veteran leadership to help this young team grow, help them turn into a championship caliber playoff football team, and let's get a Super Bowl trophy before LG's life is over, man. A lot of people think I'm not a Browns fan because I write derogatory statements about, you know what? I inspire greatness, man. I inspire people to start thinking, man. I inspire people to come back and make their own replies to these articles. You got to use your own mind to think, man. I am tired of seeing losing season after losing season, man. 5-11, 4-12, 5-11. It's ridiculous already. We need to win some football games. You didn't see other franchises that were expansion teams in the NFL set records as poorly as the Cleveland Browns. One time it was thought that the Cleveland Browns had the best fan base in the world, and they did. But now we're ranked down at 20th, man. We're way behind. We're falling down in every category. We're falling down in the win total. We're falling down in fan support. The guys that are fans and the women of the Cleveland Browns, sure, there's no greater fans than these diehard Browns fans. I've been a Browns fan my entire life, which is 54 years. I remember watching Bill Nelson, Mike Phipps, Brian Sipe, you name it, Leroy Kelly. I came into existence right when Jim Brown was doing what he did with the Cleveland Browns. I was a young guy. I don't remember exclusively Jim Brown, but I got to tell you, man, Leroy Kelly, Bill Nelson, Don Cockcroft, all those growing up, man. Brian Sipe, you name it, I saw it. I used to never, ever miss a Cleveland Browns home game. The entire existence of Bernie Kosar, I never missed a Browns home game. Brian Sipe, we came up with the Cleveland's All Psyched Up shirts back in the Cardiac Kids days. We were down there selling them before every game. I am a diehard Brown fan, but I am a Browns fan that is a realist, and I want to see some wins. And bringing a guy like Lawrence Vickers in can only be a positive for this Cleveland Browns football team. You heard Vickers himself. If you listen to the first 30 minutes of the show, he said, yeah, we had some bummer of a years, but he was still out on that field giving it 110%. And a guy like Vickers would inspire greatness from his teammates. You heard him talking about how the young guys look up to these veterans and how they get some veteran tutelage to learn how to be an NFL professional and be as great as they were in college. And I don't see anything wrong with that, folks. It's like having another coach, only you have a coach on the field with you, in the huddle with you, and somebody that's going to inspire greatness. Don't you think that's the way things happen, Leaf?
You know what, LG? I got to go ahead. You went ahead and said some of the older names. Here's one for you. Remember Bob Gaines?
Absolutely, Bob Gaines.
1964. That's when they won the championship. He was part of that. And I had the honor to meet Mr. Gaines. I know his daughter, and I'll tell you what, there is a fantastic guy. But, boy, some of the stories, when they played back then, oh, geez, rough and tumble, boy. This guy, you could see the battle wounds on him, LG.
Well, that's the thing too, Leaf. And you look at the preseason this year, and you gotta think about the collective bargaining agreement. People don't realize what the new CBA and the NFL presented to the players and the coaches and the teams. I mean, like today, the Cleveland Browns had the day off. Or is it tomorrow? One day they're off. You can only practice so many days, and then you get a day off. You can't hit in practice. Now, I understand that injuries do come from hitting in practice, ladies and gentlemen, but it conditions the athlete to get used to taking these hits in practice, too. Without the hitting that goes on the way it used to, look at the injuries that are taking place in the NFL this season. Last Thursday night, the Cleveland Browns lost a bunch of guys because of injuries. We lost Pinkston. He's down with an ankle. I'm not saying if you roll over on the guy's ankle, it's not going to get injured, and I'm not saying hitting in practice is going to inspire not getting an ankle injury, but it couldn't hurt. The old days you had two-a-days. There is no such thing as a two-a-day anymore in the NFL, folks. So some of the conditioning that these teams used to have with the two-a-days, with the 7-day-a-week practice with no days off, and the training camps were longer, can believe it or not. We don't see that with the new collective bargaining agreement. And part of the problem is they're paying a lot of money for these athletes today. And you talked about Bob Gaines. This is probably a guy, Leaf, that had to have a second job to support his family.
Absolutely.
During the offseason.
Right.
Which so many, Terry Bradshaw, one of the guys that has 4 Super Bowl rings, had a part-time gig selling cars, man. He was a car salesman in the offseason. Did you know that?
Yeah, I did. Oh, yeah, back years ago, LG, they were making money like the common man.
Right. I mean, they did a little better than the common man. Let's not mislead
absolutely.
people down that path because, they weren't making millions of dollars, man. I mean, The first guy that ever made $1 million was, I'm thinking it might have been Bruce Matthews. I'm not sure.
Get out, really?
I could be wrong about that, but I think Bruce Matthews may have been one of the guys that was one of the first millionaires of the NFL, man. Well, I'd have to look it up again, but for some reason, Bruce Matthews comes into play.
Here's another one for you, LG. I grew up with the Golick family. Greg is the youngest one. Him and I, we're both 52 years old. You're talking about injuries, not even injuries. What Bob Golick went through, a nose tackle, I believe he was I forget his number now. But anyway.
79.
79, you're right. And I'll tell you what, he would tell me, Greg would, that his brother on Monday could barely walk. And that's not getting a serious injury. That's just playing the game as a nose tackle and taking the beating.
Well, these guys wake up the next day, man. They're black and blue from head to toe, man.
That's what Greg said all the time. And, Mike Golick, he played for the Eagles, right?
I think it was the Eagles, yeah.
Yeah, he played for the Eagles. But you know what? Like I said, even barring, a bad injury, even after that, these guys, they wake up Monday morning and they are beat the hell.
Well, that's why conditioning is so huge to the game, man. I mean, these guys have off-season conditioning programs. They have the training camp. And, again, I don't think the training camps are as tough as they should be with the modern-day athlete. And I think if they were a little bit tougher and a little bit more like the old days, you wouldn't see as many injuries as we're seeing in this preseason.
You know what, LG, I'm going to say about training? Not that I'm Mr. Athlete, but back in the days when I even just play, I used to race motocross, play racquetball, this and that. Yeah, not as tough as football. Well, motocross was up there pretty good. But you know what? My whole big thing, and even taking martial arts, is stretching out and, getting to your training.
Absolutely.
You definitely have to do it. At 52 right now, I ain't got no training. I'm not about to get on a motocross bike and go over a jump. Let me put it that way. But it comes back to, like you said, all that training, condition your body, your muscles, and this and that to take the beating.
Well, you heard it. As far as taking a beating goes, we need to bring back a guy that can issue some beatings, and that guy is Lawrence Vickers. We had him for the first half hour of tonight's Cleveland Sports 360 show. I'm asking all you Browns fans out there in the entire world to get on the phone, do what you have to do, emails, social media, you name it, Facebook, Twitter. Get on there. Bring back Lawrence Vickers to the Cleveland Browns. I mean, I think it's the right thing to do. A guy named Denny Dice, who argues with me all the time, he even is in total of agreement. So right there, it shows you that this guy knows Lawrence Vickers is a beast. He's a guy that can come into the Cleveland Browns organization and help this team win. We want to thank Lawrence Vickers for joining us all the way from Beaumont, Texas. I want to thank Jeff Leaf back there behind the wheels of steel this evening. I want to remind you fans, get to forever.com. Again, it's the number 4, the word ever, EVER, so you put it together, forever.com. Check out their great assortment of gear. We want to thank everybody. Don't forget, check us out next week. We got Justina coming in. Check out Justina on Facebook. She's up for the Miss Ohio Model of the Year for the Ohio Hip Hop Awards. Do what you got to do. Go to ClevelandSports360.com. Find the article on Justina under the uncategorized category. Go to the Ohio Hip Hop Awards and vote for Justina, Ohio Hip Hop Awards Model of the Year. God bless everybody. Pray hard that Lawrence Vickers ends up sporting number 47 in the orange and brown again to come into Cleveland and do what he does best, help a team win. God bless everybody. We'll see you next Monday night. Don't forget, tomorrow night, 6 p.m., the You Gotta Be Freaking Kidding Me show with your host, Jeff Leaf. God bless you. We'll see you next Monday.